Titans, go!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Titan Talk, the Titans podcast. I'm Charles Skaggs, here in Titans Tower once again with my fellow Titan Talker, everybody's favorite Titan Talker, Jesse Jackson, ready to talk some more Titans. Hi, Jesse. How are you?
Oh, I'm sorry, Charles. I was trying to play with my Twilight Zone pinball machine, and I got distracted. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I am here in Titan
I was
Tower.
gonna get on you for zoning out there, but yeah, you're playing with the pinball there. Okay.
Yeah.
Is any high scores by a certain Gar Logan or Rachel Roth on that machine by any
I
chance?
have not seen those yet, but I will have to keep an eye out. All right.
Okay.
So we're pulling back the curtains. If Charles and I sound a little confused, is we are just so messing with our schedule today because we are recording the very day that we normally record Doctor Who, which we're still going to do.
Right. Now, who is behind that rescheduling?
This
I
is
forget.
all me. This is me.
All right.
We went off
That's
on
all
a
right.
little family time, and Charles is being nice enough to strap on the headset a little bit early so we can talk Titans. And oh, what a good one we have to talk about as I get us back on course.
Strap on. That's phrasing, perhaps, on that one.
Load on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But phrasing. Yeah. So we're gonna obviously we're gonna talk about Origins, everybody. The third episode from Titan season 1, and this is written by a whole bunch of people: Richard Hatem, or Hatem. Apologies if I got that butchered. Jeff Johns, who you might know from DC Comics fame. Marisha Mukherjee, and Greg Walker. So we had 4 writers on this episode, and directed by Kevin Rodney Sullivan. And this episode aired just a few days ago on October 26th, 2018. So I'm looking forward to getting your thoughts on it, Jesse, and what you think about it. Did you enjoy this one?
I did. I've read in one place that they think one critic thought this was the best episode so far of the series. I didn't like it as much as last week's episode, but I don't mean that in a bad way.
Right.
I just thought that last week was a little cooler, just a little better episode, but this was a good one. And I was really, I enjoyed everything. I don't know if I agree with the title so much because we didn't get a lot of Origins in there, but but still
it's a bit of a misnomer.
Yes,
it's a bit of a misnomer title.
What'd you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that I enjoyed this one a lot, but I think it was just slightly not as good as Hawk and Dove last week.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what. So you can probably kind of guess my rating from that.
Yeah.
But I there was some good stuff in here that we're obviously going to talk about. Now I've got 4 topics I want to talk about today. I want to talk about Starfire. I want to talk about Raven. I want to talk about Robin and the nuclear family. Mm-hmm. To kind of give you a heads up, Jesse, about what we're going to cover. I forgot to do that before we started recording, but
that's okay.
You know how it goes. So we're kind of producing on the fly.
Yes.
So Generally, yeah, I thought this was good. We learned quite a bit of Dick Grayson's background as a young boy after the death of his parents in this episode. Although we didn't quite get to see a certain Dark Knight, which we'll
No.
talk about when we talk about Robin.
Yeah.
And but we did get a lot of Starfire, who we didn't get any at all of in the previous week. So this was good because that kind of advanced her storyline a little bit. And definitely looking forward to talk about this with you. So before we get into our main topics, I want to run down just a couple of cast members because most of the cast in this episode pretty much the same as last week.
Yes.
We had Alan Ritchson as Hawk, Minka Kelly as Dove, Jeff Clark as the nuclear dad, Melody Johnson as nuclear mom, Jenny Ross as nuclear sis, and Logan Thompson as nuclear Biff, all members of the nuclear family. And we did get much more of Reed Birney, who made a quick cameo in last week's episode as the messenger. And here he's revealed as Dr. Adamson. And that's played by Donald Blythe, that's played by Reed Birney, but he played Donald Blythe, on House of Cards, if you're a House of Cards fan and you watch that show. And he was also on episodes of The Americans recently and The Blacklist. So pretty good actor.
Yeah.
Guessing you've seen him on House of Cards, Jesse?
I don't watch House of Cards, though I need to now that the last season's coming up. Yeah,
I would recommend it.
I liked him a lot in this role. It was just that one of the cool things about the nuclear family is this matter-of-fact kind of almost not wholesome, but the non-mustache twirling villainy. It's just matter-of-fact, doing their job. And I really liked him making the eggs and talking about how he was disappointed in them. And so, yeah, I liked him a lot.
Good. Yeah, he's I don't know if you watch The Americans, Jesse. I think you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he was on that, so you probably recognize him. He played a lot more significant role in the toward the end of the series.
Yeah.
And then we also had Liza Colon-Zayas as Detective Jessica Perez, who we haven't seen since the first episode. And she kind of takes the place of Amy Rohrbach, whose fate we finally find out is confirmed for us in this episode, which we'll talk about. Liza Colon-Zayas, you may recognize from if you saw the movie The Purge election year, or she was on episodes of Dexter and House.
Okay.
So probably, like one of those character actresses that, you recognize her if you saw her.
Okay.
If you're an avid fan. And sorry, I got a little sidetracked here because ex-Titan Talker Michael McAllister is texting me wanting to know about episode 3, ironically enough. And here we are talking about it on the podcast.
We need to have him jump in sometime.
I've tried. You need to work on him on your end. Maybe between the both of us, because I've kind of tried to persuade him to join us because we would definitely love to have Michael, because especially he works for DC Comics, and
absolutely.
So it's kind of nice to have like one of our longtime friends. It'd be great to join us here on Titan Talk.
Yeah.
All right. Apologies for the digression there.
And Meagen Fay.
Yeah.
Also played kind of the Mother Superior and the nun, and she's always a cool character actor. I like her a lot.
Now, what was she? And where have you seen her? Because I'm not familiar with her.
She was Miriam Fry in Agent Carter.
Oh, okay. She was on Agent Carter. I didn't realize.
Yeah. She has been. She has been in tons of stuff. She's just very much a character actor. I've small part in Murder in the First. She was did a small part in Mad Men.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I
I think
did
I think
not
I now I
watch.
think I
Yeah.
now I think I remember her.
Yeah. She was a small part in Powerless. And so I don't recognize the other things. But yeah, I just her face looks familiar. She was a neighbor in the Bernie Mac show, social worker in the 6 Feet Under. Looks like she played a
Okay,
pretty big part, Malcolm in the Middle, Kingdom Hospital. So she's been,
she's
yeah,
been
her
everywhere.
her IMDb page is very back, all the way back to playing in '89 on Alien Nation. So
Okay.
yeah,
Oh wow,
yeah,
that definitely goes way back. All right. So if you're ready, let's go into our main topics this week.
absolutely.
And I decided to go back to the episode soundtrack for themes this week. So first topic, keep it coming, love, keep it coming, love, and that's the classic from the '70s by Casey and the Sunshine Band,
Yes.
part of Starfire's disco soundtrack. So yes, we're going to talk about Starfire in this segment. So Jesse, we get the return of Anna Diop as Starfire, and she has quite a notable role in this episode. So I want to get your thoughts on her. What did you think?
So I'm just going to get this out there. I don't
Okay.
understand why they have not changed her clothes. I don't understand why she hasn't changed clothes. It's been
Right.
several days. I
Hmm.
think if
Yeah, she traveled all the way from Vienna.
yeah,
So you would think
um,
that maybe she could swing by, especially since we know she has money because she
yeah,
gave it to Raven. She could
yeah,
swing by the old, at least the airport, clothing store and pick herself up some new outfit.
yeah. If nothing else, a new blouse. I don't like the jacket, the coat, but so I'm
Yeah,
just throwing it out there. I don't like that look. However,
yeah. I don't.
everything
Yes.
However, everything else about her performance I really like. I think she is funny when she needs to be funny. I think
Hmm.
I love the cliche that very quickly she trusted um, Dick. She
Great.
quickly knew she needed to take care of Rachel. And not
Right.
just well, you're my key to figuring out what's going on. She just seemed to have, you're better off with me, kid. Um, she was very open.
Hmm.
I like this character a lot. I like her portrayal a lot. I think that um, the when she goes to the storage facility,
Yeah.
and is speaking in the foreign language or alien language, I think she does that seamlessly. I just think there is a lot to be said for her role and how she's playing it. So that's why I want to give her. I give it 8.5, 9 on the character. It's just I'm trying to,
Oh, you did a special character rating on
yeah,
this one.
just trying not to be distracted by what I think is a bad look. What do you think of her?
Yeah. Well, you bring up a great point about the look. I now that I haven't really considered the fact that she should have changed her clothes by now, but I think you're absolutely right about that. You're dead on. That's a great observation. Um, Otherwise, yeah, we get learn a little bit. We get confirmation that apparently this version of Starfire is indeed an alien because she is writing in a strange language that we presume is Tamaranian from the comics, from her planet Tamaran,
Right.
and speaking in it, even though she says she doesn't quite understand it.
Hmm.
She can recite it, but she doesn't comprehend it. So the question is, again, how she lost her memory. And hopefully it won't be too long before we get that story. Um, but in the meantime, she's trying to piece herself together, and she goes to Raven, looking for answers, and you mentioned that that even though she didn't really get the answers from Raven, she still felt a need to watch over her.
Yes.
And that was an interesting comment, that for whatever reason she feels like she has to be protective of Raven for some reason. Like maybe she was tasked with this at some point before she lost her memory, and this little glimmer of what she's supposed to do is what's coming out.
Yeah, I really I liked her
Right,
Corey Anders with the FBI. I was like, oh
right.
look, she's got magic papers. you know, or she's like
it's psychic
psychic
paper. Oh wait,
papers.
that's Doctor Who.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or maybe she's like Dean and Sam Winchester. She has all these fake things, but I really liked her, and um, she came across really sharp, and I think the use of her powers, I am not distracted at all by
Right.
the hair or her eyes or the makeup. It's just the clothes. I'm okay. She
Yeah.
looks a little exotic, which is good for someone who is
Well,
at least
her
partially.
makeup her her makeup does kind of complement the clothes because it's kind of very 70s retro.
Yes.
This makeup, very glam.
Hmm.
This look,
Yeah.
and but what I liked most about Anna Diop's performance in this is that we kind of got to see her more humorous side
Yes.
a little bit. She's pretty quippy in this episode. She gets some good one-liners with Raven. She gets some good one-liners with Dick, and so it was kind of nice to see a little bit of that come out. Now, another side of her, though, is of course this formidable fighter
Yeah.
that she takes out a bunch of cops early on in the episode, and she takes out Nuclear Dad.
Hmm.
And if you're familiar enough with Starfire from the comics, you realize that, well, if this is what they're going with here on the show, Starfire was trained by the warlords of Okara, so she knows how to fight. She should be
Yes.
like an expert fighter.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of glad to see that coming through. Now, hopefully they make a reference of this as an explanation of how she knows all these fighting moves. Um, but for right now, because she doesn't have a memory of this, that it's just more like, I wouldn't say muscle memory at this point.
Yeah. I thought she was really well done. I thought her moves were done. Um,
Yeah,
the she, um, as we already talked about, she seems to have a good heart already. I
right.
also did like, she did make a dick joke when
Yes.
she got
And
his name. That was just
and she's
really,
like, oh yeah, never heard that before.
yeah, and
Thanks.
yeah, and he was really funny about that too. Um, by the way, he had, and I know we're going to talk about him in a minute, but even
Yes.
not having access to the um, huge closet of a millionaire, Dick gets
Right.
to change clothes. He's wearing a really cool leather jacket,
Right.
So
Right.
yes,
Yeah, so there's no real excuse for why Starfire is, unless, of course, she
exactly.
just likes the jacket.
Yeah, maybe so.
But
Okay.
maybe she just really likes that jacket, but she really should change that jacket.
Hmm.
Let's be
Yes.
fair.
Okay.
It's not really a good look right now.
Yes.
Let's see. So let's see. Is there's anything else? Now we found out that she's apparently been keeping a storage locker, and it's kind of all full of like murder boards where, like a conspiracy theorist with yarn strands everywhere, and it's full of pictures of ravens and Bible verses, very, very prophetic Bible verses, ominous ones. And what did you think of her kind of this kind of conspiracy theory
My
point?
only issue is, why is it there? I mean, why?
Yeah,
I guess we don't know, but it seemed a little convenient that
yeah,
within driving distance of the um, convict, You
Right.
know, that they would have this. That's my only nitpick with it. I don't know why they were doing that, but I love, you know, ever since you saw I've seen A Beautiful Mind. I love when they have that whole twines and everything trying to
Yes.
connect, and
Yes. Right.
you know, I think of um, from Carrie in the you know, the Showtime show that I'm drawing a blank on right now about spies. You know, I just love that view of like someone's trying to figure
Okay.
this out. Yeah.
Okay. Um, now the another thing is that we find out that she's apparently kind of left herself clues
Yes.
because she figures out through the course of this episode that this key that she's been holding on to is actually a locker key at a roller rink, Scooter's roller rink or whatever,
Yes.
roller skating rink. And inside the locker, we find out is another key to that stash and dash storage locker.
And did you love um
So she kind of like left herself this this trail. And then one of the Easter eggs that I really liked inside the storage locker, I'm not sure if you caught it or not, was a like a tanning bed, you know, a sun
yes,
bed,
I did see
which
that.
would make sense. Yeah, so Corey's powers as Starfire, of course, are very solar powered,
Hmm.
and the character kind of thrives on the sun. So I kind of like that little bit of Easter egg.
I like that a lot. I also liked her acting when
Yeah,
she opens the locker at the skating rink and opens the envelope, and the way she kind of shrugs her shoulder and kind of rolls her
yeah,
eye at, oh, it's another clue. What,
yeah.
you
She's
know,
like, what? Really?
yeah, exactly. I just really like that a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. That was good. All right.
Hmm.
Anything else about Starfire before we move on?
Nope. Very good.
Okay.
I think it's nice. Um, she is a fan of the F word, not quite as much as Hawk, but she does say the
Yeah.
F bomb for a while.
Well, yeah. That's apparently we have to remind the viewers that DC Universe can swear all they want. So,
Yes, exactly.
which is which again I'm okay with, but you know
Yeah, I
you
am too.
overuse it and then it loses its punch in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Hmm.
Best used sparingly.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm definitely not against it. All right, topic number 2, Sunny, and that's the song that was originally done in 1966, an R&B classic by Bobby uh, Hebb, but here it's kind of remixed by someone named Boney M. So it's not quite the original that you hear here.
Hmm.
And that was my kind of ironic title for Raven, who's always this force of darkness.
Now,
And so I want to talk about
yeah,
I want to talk about Raven here.
I do need to tell you that when I was hearing the soundtrack to this episode
Yes,
last night, I
right.
said they have gave Charles his titles. I mean, it's like it's very kind of them as
So,
they do
so,
this.
so you knew I was going to do that.
Well, they were all very perfect because you often pick song
Yes.
titles, and I was like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice of them." Gave Charles a little extra, gave Charles some help. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I can use all the help I can get.
yeah,
So Raven.
yes, Raven. First off, I just saw someone tweet, or someone on Facebook. I think you may have reposted it on our page.
Yeah.
The actual age of all the actors that are in the show, and the
Yeah.
person who plays Rachel is 14.
Right.
She's really, really good in this.
Yeah.
I think she,
Tegan Croft, you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think she is such a wide range of
Right.
the being a child. Like, I ordered a burger too, and oh, I'm gonna need money for the arcade, and I want
Right.
chicken and waffles, and I was waiting for someone to make a joke that you're always hungry.
Yeah.
But then
Great,
also,
great Raven. Always thinking with your stomach.
yes. But then um, when she is playing the fear and
Yeah.
the worry about this internal demon that we
Hmm.
are all assuming based on what we know from the comic, and so this is
Right.
just speculation, but they've
Yeah.
kind of implied pretty far that
Educated
yes,
speculation.
is that she has a this demon, her father,
Right.
living in her, and I
Right.
did think the idea that he has to be invited, and
Yeah.
the
Well, the way
messenger. Go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick that I think that he's using Raven as a gateway. I don't think he's
Yeah.
inside her per se. I think that he is, because of who she is, her relationship to him, that for whatever reason, if she allows it, he can cross over from that other dimension into this dimension.
Okay.
That's my guess.
Yeah, I
What
think
do you
you're
think?
right. It appears something's inside her,
Right.
and maybe it's just in her mind. But
Yeah.
I just love how she is able to play that complexity, um, and showing it really well. I don't.
Yeah.
Um, I'm really.
She does have some range because she does,
Yes.
like, she gets to play like a little girl who's kind of like remembering this doll that she had as a very young child.
Yes.
And then the next moment you see her like in the reflection of the mirror with, these black eyes and acting all demonic. So
Yeah.
she definitely gets to play the full gamut of emotions in this episode and
Yeah.
on the series.
Yeah. I think she does, and I think that's good. I mean, I think she puts apart. She's. I really liked her interactions with Dick, telling him the truth.
Yeah.
I don't trust you.
Yeah,
You were going to leave
she
me.
calls him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I, because I am always been a big Dick Grayson fan, I kind of want like, oh, come on, give him a chance. He's trying. But, I think she
Right.
was legitimate to call him out and go,
Yeah.
I don't trust you. And why should I trust you? So
Right,
I
because
don't,
you were gonna dump me off. You were gonna dump me off on Hawk
yeah.
and Dove.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I like that a lot. And
So he's gonna have to earn her trust back.
yeah, and I really feel bad for her that she was trusting the nuns,
Hmm.
and she trusted the sister and then betrayed her.
Right.
I knew when she gave her something to drink that okay, they're
Oh
gonna drug
yeah.
her. And then to
Yep.
have that, I was just dang it. But I really liked it. Yeah.
You were rooting for those nuns to be good, and you got let down.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
that's kind of the big thing that we find out about Raven in this episode is that she was raised in this kind of oh, what's the word I'm looking for here? This I don't want to say it like a seminary, perhaps.
Yeah.
That something that a convent.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
convent.
It's
Yeah.
more of a convent. Yeah, thank you. So St. Paul's convent, we find out, and there was like a picture. That picture that Corey has on the back of it were the words St. Paul's 2005. So presumably Raven was born in 2005, which would make her 13 years old
Right.
because we saw her as a baby then.
Yes.
And so we find out that Raven stayed there with Melissa, the woman purported to be her mother, played by Sherilyn Fenn.
Hmm.
And at some point, they were like the nuns were watching over both of them to protect Raven from Rachel from her father.
Yes.
And although they don't go into detail, of course, about who her father is. And even the nuns really don't know because they said Melissa never told them.
Right.
Just that it was somebody very threatening. And then for whatever reason they left, and so now it's this big surprise that all of a sudden, all these years later, they're back. Rachel is back at the convent. and the head nun is all ecstatic about it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden flips on a dime and is like, okay, we got to do whatever we can to keep you here. So do you think that they're up to no good, or do you think that they're just completely misguided about how they're protecting Rachel?
Well, I think they're misguided is what I'm going to go with. I was a little concerned at first that they were going to all hell our Master Trigon, or something, and act like they
Yeah,
were in the cult, but they didn't.
right.
So that's my only thought is, nope, they truly are just trying to protect her.
Right.
And
But
so,
their idea of protection is just lock her in a room
yes,
so that nobody can get to her.
exactly. Which I
So,
don't understand. I
right.
guess you're just kicking the can down the road, as they say, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Now, part of me was kind of wondering if these nuns were actually believers of Azar, the
Hmm.
Azarathians or whatever, that those that kind of worshippers that fought against Trigon,
Yes.
and like where Rachel's natural mother, Arella,
Hmm.
she was a member of, and so I kind of wondered if those nuns were part of them, just posing as nuns. But I'm getting the impression after watching this episode now that they're not.
Yeah, I
What
don't
did you
think
think?
so either. I think that was a good thought.
Yeah,
But no, I
I
think they
just
truly,
yeah, it was a
yeah,
connection I was trying to make, but I don't think it really
no,
is going to play out
I
that
agree.
way. I think it could have, but I don't think it's going to.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. One other thing we want to talk about really quick with Raven is that, hey, she gets to play some Twilight Zone pinball that you mentioned, and she gets to meet Gar Logan, aka Beast Boy.
Yeah.
And they get to compare, or at least compliment each other on their cool hair.
Yeah.
And they kind of awkwardly talk with one another, hinting at some possible initial attraction. What did you think of those two in that
Um,
scene?
I liked
They
them.
seem to get along. They seem to get along right
Yeah.
off the bat.
Um, and his first appearance, I felt like was shoehorned in.
Yeah.
This one, I did not feel like it was shoehorned in. In fact, I think this would have been a better. Um, I guess you didn't want to have him wait till the third episode, but I think that was a
Right.
nice introduction to him because those of us who know the character were like, "Oh, look who that is," and for people who have seen the advanced, read about the show or everything, but if you were just watching Totally Blind, it was like, "Oh, that's a really cool character. They've got a little thing," and then hopefully next episode we'll see him
Right.
again, and they'll go, "Oh, okay, yeah." So I liked him.
Yeah. It kind of set the table for the full meeting
Yes.
where he meets Dick and Corey, and because he just had this real quick run-in with Dick, and when he showed up to drag Raven away,
Yeah.
but yeah, he did watch her leave,
Hmm.
and I think that's probably going to lead up, obviously, to next week where they kind of all get together a little
Yes.
bit
Yeah, I agree.
for the first time. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else about Raven before we move
Nope.
on?
Once again, I really think she is doing well, and very, very. I like what they're doing with the character.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Topic number 3, Highway Tune, which is a song in this episode by Greta Van Fleet, who is that's a modern band that essentially sounds a lot like Led Zeppelin. If you've ever heard any of their songs,
Hmm.
the lead singer has definitely a Robert Plant. I think intentionally trying to be like Robert Plant, And so if you're a Led Zeppelin fan, you would probably like Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah.
It's definitely that kind of like an updated version of Led Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do this song, and that's this kind of song that Dick is listening to as he's driving along. And like as he's trying to track down um, Starfire, Corey, based off of the license plate that her whatever stolen car she got is so that's how he's able to narrow down where she is with Raven. So I want to get your thoughts on Robin, and we got this pretty major flashback with young Dick Grayson, who's played by young actor named Tomaso Sanelli, who apparently isn't taking to the idea of Bruce Wayne being his foster father very well.
I liked it.
Yeah.
But I really wanted, and I understand the reason why. So let's. I think I've told you this story before. Years ago,
Yeah.
I was in I did a leisure learning course that was Star Trek Next Generation, a discussion of the Prime Directive. And
Right.
it was a 6-week course. You went every week. You watched an episode, and then you discussed it afterwards. Very fun, just fun course. And the very first episode class, the professor asked the question, and one of the people attending said, well, because the actors are paid to do that. And he holds his hand up and says, I understand that, but if we're going to have any fun in this show, that can't be the answer. So, I understand they don't want to cast Alfred or Bruce Wayne because later. So I understand why that person isn't there. But I wanted to see the young Dick Grayson have a discussion with either Alfred or Bruce about, instead of that note saying there's a better way. Yep. If you just trust us, we can do that.
I get the impression that they can't. That for whatever reason, the rights to Bruce and Alfred are off limits. That they can talk about Bruce Wayne, other characters can, but you're not going to see Bruce, you're not going to see Alfred because, for one thing, they're on Gotham at the moment.
Yeah.
On television. And, of course, the movies. But I think primarily because of Gotham right now. I think maybe once Gotham goes off the air, so maybe next year,
but it's
maybe we could...
But it's a totally different universe, right?
But I understand that. Yes. But apparently Warner Brothers are for whatever reason, they love to compartmentalize these rights.
Yeah.
And if, for whatever reason, we're using Batman over here, we can't use Batman over there, vice versa. It's silly and it's nonsense because all their characters are owned by Warner Brothers as a... owning DC Comics, DC Entertainment, and they should be able to, in my opinion. Yeah. And it's very frustrating because all we're getting as a result, we get this social worker character introduced, who's the one interacting with Dick on behalf of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And all we see is a figure that's kind of watching from two-way window mirrors or way up in one of the towers in Wayne Manor, and not directly interacting with the show or standing in a doorway, but nobody ever refers to him by name directly. So it just could be some guy to kind of work around the rights issues.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah. So except for that minor nitpick, I loved the flashbacks. I loved the young rebellious, yes, Dick Grayson. I love the whole, his eyes seeing, he opens up the closet and it's like, of course, Bruce is the world's greatest detective, so he could figure out the kids, clothes sizes, but calls up at a department store, just send me one of everything, And so there's all.
Well, I'm guessing that was Alfred.
Yeah.
I can't see Batman being bothered by clothes shopping.
Yeah, good point. Alfred did that.
I have to think Alfred did that
Well, I think
personally.
Bruce told him, get the kids some clothes. And like
Yeah,
what?
probably.
Just one of everything.
Whatever.
Um,
Like what six is good
yeah,
if you're a fan of Michael Keaton's Batman.
yeah.
I love that line.
I loved, the first time he leaves, doing
Yeah.
the acrobat out.
Acrobatics.
Yeah,
Because yeah, he's a trapeze artist, so
right.
he should be able to do all those acrobatics easily. So we see him like escaping Wayne Manor by jumping into a very tall tree and flipping down,
Yeah.
which I thought was very cool.
And then the next time he borrows the
Steel.
the family heirloom, because remember
Yes.
a couple earlier episodes he had said, wow, nice car.
Right.
Well, it's kind of a sort of family heirloom, which would
Yeah.
make sense,
Right.
Bruce being at least a little sentimental, that when Richard goes off on his own, he'd go, well, I want to give.
Here's the car that you stole as a
yeah,
kid.
exactly, and you see that smile.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, well, we get that connection. It's not outright stated, but you can pretty much figure it out that the car that the adult Dick Grayson has been driving around, this Porsche,
Yeah.
was the car that as a kid he stole from
Yes,
Wayne Manor
absolutely.
Yeah, so he's obviously very sentimentally attached to it.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, maybe he stole it again when he and Bruce had their falling out, and he left.
I like to believe that Bruce gave it to him as a
I hope you're
birthday
right.
gift, Now, I have a question for you.
Yes.
How old do you think Dick Grayson is in modern our time? Because they said it was 15 years away. So do you find that the young Dick, is he 10? Is he 12? 13?
I'd say closer to 12.
Okay, so
the young Dick,
right?
So I'm guessing like he's around maybe 26.
Yeah, 26 or 27. That's what I was thinking, because 25 would be too young to be a detective.
If he's 11, then he'd be 26 now.
Yeah.
If you go by 15 years even.
Yeah, so
but
that makes me think a little bit. I also wonder, does no one
definitely
care?
Too old to be calling himself Robin, but
yeah, does his boss not even care that he's not there at all? I mean, and is it because he's on vacation?
That's one of the things I was wondering, because now Dick basically gets a call from Detective Jessica Perez.
Yeah.
That she basically tells him, she gives him some info saying that there, talks about there were prints on, from the Roth murder weapon, but they didn't belong to Rachel.
Yeah.
So Dick knows that Rachel didn't kill her mother.
Yeah.
And then then the Traverse City PD called about a murder weapon. And let's see, that she also tells him that about Corey being an intruder, and there being like that fight at the gas station where she walks off with Rachel, leaving behind a body. And then she also, oh, by the way, in case I didn't mention it, your partner's dead.
Yeah.
So we find out that Amy Rohrbach, as I dreaded last week, if you remember, that she was no longer a living person anymore. She was dead.
I was really disappointed in that.
I was surprised that they killed her off so quickly.
I mean, I realize IMDb is not necessarily,
reliable
gospel, but it does say that, she's there in every episode. I like the actress, and maybe
does not spoil the death.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
Yeah.
And I guess the truth is there may not be room for that, but I had hoped because I liked her so far, and I thought that'd be some interesting interactions to have
Right.
a partner that isn't aware of your after hour activities. So we'll
Yeah.
see. Yeah,
Maybe that was an initial idea they came up with when they wrote the pilot, and
yeah,
then they rethought it for the series.
yeah.
Maybe
Could be. Yeah,
that they decided to go in a different creative direction,
yeah. I
perhaps.
think so. Yeah,
But and then they're making Perez apparently the liaison character to kind of. I'm guessing Detective Perez will go back to Dick's captain at the
yeah.
Detroit PD and
Hmm.
go fill him in on what's going on with Grayson's investigation.
Yeah. But it
But
just seems
maybe it's
like
just yeah, he's got like you would think he'd have to check in more often than he does. I agree,
absolutely. Yeah,
and still keep his job for one
yeah.
thing.
Is exactly.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, so we find out that like Dick's stealing the car. Uh, although the social worker, excuse me, confronts him about it and says that like I'm not doing it to run away. I'm doing it to get more information about my parents' murder.
Yes.
And then we find out later on that the social worker tells him that his parents' murder wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
So now he knows that someone killed his parents. The question is why. Now we from comics fame,
Hmm.
uh, we know that Dick Grayson's parents were killed by Tony Zuko,
Yes.
a kind of extortionist that was putting the squeeze on uh, Mr. Haley, the head of the Haley Circus. The question is whether that will be the case here on Titans or not.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
What do you
It.
think?
I. I do find that funny. One of the I looked at a couple of websites just to see what people are thinking about the show, and a couple of people were going, well, questions after the episode, who killed Richard's parents? And I'm like, really?
Right. You
That's
don't know
something,
this?
that.
You could at least look that up on Wikipedia, guys.
Yeah,
It's like it's been out for a long.
I guess, and I guess the idea,
Or
which,
maybe they just don't want it spoiled. But
yeah, or which will they? I guess I would have been happier if they had said, will they stick to the comic version of
or
how this happened?
yeah,
Yes.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We don't know. I mean, they could go a completely different direction and be a little twist that it wasn't Tony Zuko.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm hoping it's Tony Zuko because I want to see that.
Hmm.
I'd love to see that in live action. Batman the animated series did that pretty well,
Yes.
and if you remember, um, one of the things I also liked about Dick stealing the car was that it's kind of, if you noticed, it seemed like it was kind of a deliberate nod to Batman Forever because
Yes.
that whole the garage,
Hmm.
the Wayne garage, Wayne Manor garage, looked eerily reminiscent of the garage in Batman Forever, if you noticed.
Yes.
And so and obviously in that episode, or I'm sorry, excuse me, that movie, that 1995 movie, starring Val Kilmer as Batman and Chris O'Donnell as Robin. Robin steals the Batmobile and
Hmm.
goes on a joyride in that movie. So I got the feeling that that was kind of like a little nod to Batman Forever.
Yes.
What did you think? Okay.
Yeah, I think a little bit. The it he will. I certainly think that um, they're taking in a lot of the Robin mythos and make it their
Yeah.
own. You have mentioned before that you felt like there's at least a tinge of Jason Todd in this version of
Yeah.
Robin. Um, I felt that a little bit with him stealing the car and trying to escape
Right.
and everything. I felt that was a little bit. I'm not sure that was if they're trying to do that or not, but I at least see that, right?
Yeah, yeah. Which again, to me, makes no sense because they're going to be introducing Jason Todd later on.
Yeah, exactly.
If Dick is acting like Jason Todd, who is Jason Todd acting like
Yes, absolutely.
when we see him? Like, what are we gonna get with Jason Todd? I'm almost afraid to find
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
All right. Anything else about Dick Grayson's storyline in this before we move
Nope.
on?
I thought his use of the scanner with the
Hmm.
computer, um,
Yeah. Where
kind
does
of
he get those wonderful
little toys.
toys?
Yes. I like that a lot. Like I said, I thought he and Corey had good chemistry together.
Yeah.
Just overall, I thought it was really well done.
Yeah. It wasn't quite the their meeting from the new Teen Titans back in the 80s, was it?
No.
The first Dick and Corey meeting.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a little more antagonistic,
Yeah.
but presumably, hopefully, they'll become attracted to one another.
Yeah.
Hopefully, as we'll find out. All right. Fourth and final topic this week. It's a sunshine day,
Yes.
which is the Brady Bunch, if you can believe
Yes,
it.
it is.
Another 70s classic. That was actually their hit back in the day.
Hmm. The
This
silver
is the Nuclear
platters,
Family.
right?
The Silver Platters?
I
I
think
can't
that was the
remember.
I think that was the name because they were trying to buy a platter for their parents' wedding
Oh,
anniversary.
yeah, in the TV show episode.
Yes,
But they actually released this as a pop hit
I know.
under the Brady Bunch name. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah, probably to compete with the Partridge Family at the time, I'm guessing.
Hmm.
But the yeah, I want to talk about the Nuclear Family here because for one thing, we find out that the Nuclear Family, as we catch up with them, they're kind of driving around a little town called Coolville, Ohio. And believe
Okay.
it or not, that
Yes.
town actually exists. That's a legitimate town, but it's only got a population of 496 people, and it's
Salute.
located. Salute,
Yeah.
exactly. If you're a Hee Haw fan, and so from Athens County down, which is down like kind of southeast by the Ohio, right by the Ohio River.
Hmm.
So that's kind of where that's taking place, if you're at all familiar with geography. Now, we also did earlier in the or later in the episode where Raven and Corey kind of stop off. They stop off at this diner called Bulldog's Diner, which there was a road sign. And did you catch that the road sign was 22 miles outside Athens? Okay, which makes
Okay.
sense if it's in Athens County. And it was also 97 miles outside Columbus.
I did see the
So,
Columbus and
so
thought of you.
Columbus got, Columbus got a shout out. My hometown here
Yes.
of Columbus, Ohio here. Not my hometown, but my adopted hometown.
Hmm.
Um, got a shout out. So I was very cool. I was very glad to see that. So they're like an hour and a half away from Columbus. So just down the road. And I thought that was kind of cool. So I just want to give a little
Absolutely.
shout out to Titans for that.
Yes.
It's good to see the Midwest getting some love finally in the DC universe.
Absolutely.
All right. So yeah, let's talk about the Nuclear Family. The reason I brought that up with Coolville because we see them playing road trip bingo
Yes.
while Rachel's in the car tied up with zip ties,
Yes.
and decide they need a pee break. They of course take a vote on it, raising their hands, and
Yes.
that's when everything kind of flows from there. No pun
Hmm.
intended. And what are your thoughts on the Nuclear Family in this episode?
They continue to be really good villains. Um,
Yeah,
the actors playing the roles are really embracing their kind of
right.
white bread evilness. Um,
Yeah,
the they when they went to the messenger, they were very afraid.
right.
Um, and
So they do have like it's kind of interesting. They have some kind of autonomous thinking, and we get confirmation that they are in fact androids
mhm,
in this episode.
yes, And
So which is true from the comics,
yeah, and I don't eat those butterscotch, which I thought
right?
was very funny. Um,
Yeah.
mhm, yeah.
So what did it? So their big thing is, of course, when after Nuclear Dad gets roasted by Starfire,
Hmm.
um, they kind of have to go with their tail between their legs to go see the messenger, Dr. Adamson.
Hmm.
And this is apparently the guy who showed up at their door activating their sleeper cell.
Hmm.
And he starts off being very threatening in tone. He's not happy that they failed. He's talking about why Rachel is so important. And apparently we get the information from the messenger here that Rachel's father cannot enter this realm and scrub the flesh of this world clean to show us who we really are. So without her welcome. So what did you think of that revelation?
So I was a little creeped out that
Yeah.
is it Sis who's like, oh, I'd like to
Yeah.
live in that world. No,
Yeah,
no, you
that's
don't know. That sounds like a horrible world.
well,
Yeah.
apparently that's what changes the messenger's opinion because he was all ready to kind of e- exterminate them
Hmm.
as his
Yeah, because he had
and
the list. He had like the
so what is he, Alec?
remote
I don't know.
switch. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was ready to like push the button and shut them off or whatever.
Hmm.
But Nuclear Sis bringing up the fact that she'd like to live in a world like or like to see a world like that. That gave him pause, and he's like, really?
Yeah.
And and it's kind of funny because Nuclear Mom's like watching this, going, no, 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 she didn't mean that at all. No, 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 we're good,
Yeah.
we're cool, really. And um, but that is apparently what kind of like, okay, well, I guess you guys deserve another chance then.
Yeah,
And
and like well, I've already cracked the eggs. Who wants
yes, that was
cheese? You know?
yes. It was so funny because he's so menacing, and then like, well, I've already cracked the eggs, and you're not sure where he's going with this, and then he's like,
Right.
okay, who wants yeah, the omelet? So
Yeah.
I thought that was that dark humor was really really fun to watch.
Oh, I totally agree.
Yeah, and then he talks about like, well, I guess hey, studies have shown that two couple families, are better killing. So
Yes.
why don't we get you a new dad?
Yeah, and they all
So
look all
presumably,
happy.
yeah,
Yay.
yep, yep.
Hmm.
So then they're gonna have omelets. So there we
Yeah.
go. But so that's kind of where they are. They're kind of like going to be presumably we're going to see them again at some point,
Hmm.
and we'll see what the rematch holds with
Yeah, I mean,
once the Titans are all together.
if they're not the big, they certainly are not the big bad, but they certainly are one of the
Yeah.
reoccurring villains.
Well, I think they're like the henchmen for the messenger,
Yes.
and the messenger is trying to make Raven's father, Trigon, happen.
Hmm. Yes.
So that's what we pieced together so far, I think. At least
Absolutely.
that's what they're implying.
Hmm.
All right. Anything else about the nuclear family or the messenger in this episode?
Nope. I thought it was really well done.
Okay. All right. Anything else about this episode before we go into our favorite lines?
Not at all. I did not get any favorite lines.
Oh,
So
I
yeah,
did.
yeah. Okay, please.
All right. I'll just go right into mine.
Hmm.
There's an exchange between Corey and Rachel that I liked where Corey says, "We've never met ever."
Yeah.
F.
Yeah. Exactly.
And
That
then
was really
she, well, and then Rachel replies, that's a weird question, right?"
yes.
And let's see what else. Dr. Adamson says, "I'm making omelets. It seems I may have overshopped."
Yeah.
And I thought that was it.
Yes.
I thought that was a good line because obviously they're missing Nuclear Dad,
Hmm.
and he's like slyly implying that that's a really bad thing.
Yes.
Um, Corey, when they're at the roller rink, she says, "I'm going to change this music before my head explodes."
Yeah, that was a good line.
That was a good line. Uh, Shortly after Dick and Corey meet, Dick asks Corey, "Who the hell are you?" And then Corey says, "I don't know. Somehow Rachel's the key to figuring me out."
Yeah, very
And
nice.
of course, the classic exchange that I thought that was probably the best line of the episode between Dick and Corey, where he shows up at the storage locker after she had stolen his car and Dick says, "Hey, you stole my car. I like my car." And then Corey replies, "How did you find me?" And Dick says, "There's an app for that."
Yes,
And
that
it
was
shows.
great. Yeah,
So that was probably my favorite line of the episode.
absolutely.
Exchange. All right. Okay. So what's your rating for this one?
Yeah, I like I said, I didn't like it quite as much as last episode, but it was good. So
Yeah.
I am gonna give it 8.5. Um, lockers in a skating rink.
Okay. That sounds good. I'm right with you. I thought it was just behind last week's episode of the. So I give this one 8.5 as well. I give it 8.5 Twilight Zone pinball machines.
Yes, I almost picked that. Um,
Yep.
this is not. I know this is not the show a lot of people wanted, but
Right.
I think you have to judge it on what it is, not what you want it to be. At least in my
On its
mind.
own on its
Yeah,
own merits.
yeah, and I think for its own merits, I think they're doing a really good job.
Yeah. I think the show definitely has potential. I don't think it's hit its stride yet.
No,
I think maybe that will change once the Titans are finally all together
yeah,
and interacting, and then we're really moving forward. I think right now we're still playing setup
yeah, I agree.
with a lot of things, and we haven't really gotten to the meat of the storyline yet.
Okay,
That's my take anyway. So hopefully, but we've had a couple of decent episodes in a row,
yeah,
better than the pilot. So
hmm,
fingers crossed for the future.
absolutely.
All right. Now I do have a couple of Titans Tower news real quick.
Okay.
Uh, One is that apparently episode 10 coming up later in the season is going to explore Hawk and Dove's origin. You know that we kind of thought we'd get this
Oh,
episode, not so
nice.
much. Yeah, so apparently at New York Comic Con, Alan Ritchson and Minka Kelly, who played Hawk and Dove, of course, revealed that the premiere DC Universe series will explore how their characters became superheroes in episode 10. Um,
Good.
Minka Kelly is quoted here. "My favorite episode is one that Jeff Johns and Akiva Goldsman wrote and Akira Kiva directed. It's the origin story of how Hawk and Dove meet before they become Hawk and Dove. That was a really fun episode to get into," she says.
Good.
So we'll see. And then just a real quick update on the Nightwing movie. We got Chris McKay, the director that was tapped to direct Nightwing, says the movie isn't dead yet.
Okay.
Now, if you remember, he directed the Lego Batman movie, but
Mm-hmm.
apparently he posted on Twitter. He responded to a fan asking him what the status of the movie was and if it was dead, and he replied, "No, you're going to have to wait though. Keep hope alive." He
Yay.
actually he actually said, "Keep hope alive," your favorite saying. And then I thought that was funny. And then he says, to paraphrase Dick Grayson, Nightwing lives always.
Nice.
So so we'll see. Hopefully, yeah, it's not dead yet because I really want to see a Nightwing movie, and I'm sure a lot of you out there do too as well.
Absolutely.
All right. We did get some feedback this week.
Yay.
In our Tell It to Titan Talk segment, we got some new feedback this time from DJ Nick from Milan, Italy.
All right.
So we're now branching out into an international fame here in Titan Talk. Nick writes in. He says, "Hey guys, wanted to give a huge shout out and let you know that even over here across the ocean, you have an avid and dedicated listener. I was doing my best to find a decent and not necessarily pandering podcast dedicated to the Titans TV show, and I found yours." Awesome.
Yay.
Thank you, Nick. I'm glad you don't find us pandering. We try not to be. and hopefully we're decent. So absolutely love what you are doing, he continues. I am a huge fan of both DC and Marvel, dedicated to undertake the journey of rereading both from their first inception in the 30s up to the present day.
Nice.
And that's quite a task. And I'm almost there. He says in parentheses, all caught up with DC, now into 2007 with Marvel. So that's awesome, dude. That's fantastic. Would love to come on the show sometime to talk about the show and anything else comics related. Ooh, maybe we'll have you on the show, Nick.
Yeah.
We just have to figure out those that international timey-wimey scheduling. Let's see what else. He says we'll also be checking out your Doctor Who podcast. Well, that would be next stop everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast, right?
It would be.
Once I am all caught up, and as I am currently watching and loving the Matt Smith run as our beloved Gallifreyan Time Lords. That's awesome. So yeah, please check us out there.
Good.
We'll give you that information as well. Lastly, he says, one small correction. You mentioned comic book great and infamous killer of Gwen Stacy, Jerry Conway, but referred to him as Gary. And I take full responsibility for that. I apologize. I know a Gary personally. It's spelled Gerry, but he pronounces it Gary. So that just kind of stuck in my head. So I apologize for that. Jerry Conway, the co-creators of characters like the Punisher and Firestorm and all kinds of stuff. Other than that, you guys are spot on and do an absolutely awesome job.
Thank you. That's so nice to hear.
Thank you so much. Ciao from Milan, DJ Nick, host of the award-winning Whiskey and Cigarettes show and co-founder of the Euro Academy of Country Music.
Oh, very nice.
Very awesome. So thank you, Nick, DJ Nick. I give you your title, DJ. Yes. And thank you so much for checking out Titan Talk. And please tell your friends about us. And hopefully they enjoy us as well. And definitely check us out on Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. We'd love to have you over there as well.
Yes.
So we'll just have to figure out the scheduling, and maybe we'll have you on Titan Talk. I'm sure Jesse's prone to one or two international discussions. Yes. So he's done that for Set Listing Bruce. So we can figure that out somehow, I'm sure.
Yes, we can.
All right, but I just want to say, give Nick, DJ Nick, our thanks, and ciao right back at you from the United States.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Let's see what else. So next time on Titan Talk, before we give our contact information, next week is Doom Patrol. Now this is supposed to be the 5th episode, but it's been pushed ahead a week to episode 4. And this is the one written by Jeff Johns, which introduces, of course, the Doom Patrol. And probably we're going to find out about them through Beast Boy, who was a member of the Doom Patrol in the comics. So looking forward to that. So, Jesse, where can they find you on the interwebs?
Well, I can be reached and heard on Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast with Charles.
I hear great things about that podcast.
Yes, we are going through the new season with the fabulous Jodie Whittaker as the new Doctor.
With our co-host, Karen Lindsay.
Yes. I am on Set Listing Bruce, the Bruce Springsteen podcast, where I discuss music with fandoms of Bruce fans all over the world, which is why I'm very familiar with working through time zones. You can reach me on Twitter directly at Jesse Jackson DFW. I am on Facebook, Jesse Jackson, Louisville, Texas. Please check it out.
Okay. And as for me, you can reach me at Charles Skaggs on the Twitter machine or at Charles Skaggs on the Instagram. We definitely appreciate that. Or you can reach me on Facebook at Charles Skaggs in Hilliard, Ohio. That would be great as well. Or you can reach me at my blog of geeky things. Oh, let me get my thing here. I got to do my sound effect, right? Get this to work. Okay.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Damn Good Coffee and Hot, where I talk about all the shows that I do for the Southgate Media Group. including Next Stop Everywhere, or the Phantom Zone podcast, where we talk about comic book shows on TV with Karen Lindsay, or Ghost with the Twin Peaks podcast that I do with Zan Sprouse, the wife of comic book artist Chris Sprouse, and of any kind of comic book sci-fi news about Titans, news about Titan Talk. You can definitely find it there on Damn Good Coffee and Hot, and I would really appreciate if you checked out my little blog. It would be very much appreciated. Otherwise, if you want to reach us here on Titan Talk, just like DJ Nick did, you can reach us at titantalkcast@gmail.com. That's titantalkcast@gmail.com. Or you can reach us on the Twitter machine at Titan Talkcast. Or you can reach us on Facebook at Titan Talk, the Titans Podcast. And then otherwise, you can reach us, or if you would, please go to Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating and review. We'd like to get at least 5 so we can kind of get our reviews out there. So if you enjoy what we do, or just have some thoughts about what we do, we'd appreciate the review, and hopefully it's a good one. So, Jesse, anything else to add?
Nope.
Great. Do we have anything heading out, or just want to just say goodbye to everybody? All right.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
Doom Patrol next week. Bye, everybody.